Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. Layered wood versus laminated wood in guitars. What's the difference? Well, let's talk about this. You will find when it comes to the tops on acoustic guitars, you'll find two, solid top or laminated top. I've never heard of a layered wood topped acoustic, okay? It's possible, maybe there's one out there somewhere, no idea. But otherwise, for decades, all it's ever been is either a solid top or a laminated top. So there is a tonal difference, obviously, between the two, even in both being a satin finish or both being a gloss finish, etc. Okay, that does tonally change with the finish that's on that top, whether it's solid or laminated. However, humidity protection is another thing. You get a little bit more added protection on a solid top if you have a glossy top, but you don't get as balanced of a tone. You're going to lose a lot of bass, you're going to increase your mids and your trebles, and they're going to scoop in kind of like a hollowy type of sound, okay, which could be appealing to some people, but not to me. However, I do happen to have a guitar that's like that only because I needed something that I could kick the snot out of, that I didn't care about. If it got a meltdown from the sun, I wouldn't care about it. I didn't pay much. The whole point was to not take my Taylor outdoors and have it destroyed by very super hot sunny days and, of course, high humidity days as well. I care about my gear, except for the gear I buy that I don't care about. So, solid top, it's one piece of wood, not one entire piece. It's always book matched in one form or another. There's always a divisional marker here. However, the actual wood itself is a solid slice of wood. It's not laminated, it's not layered in any ways, it's actual solid. They cut a slice off the trunk, boom, you got a solid piece of wood. They thin it out to where they need it to, you know, whatever, okay? They book match it by cutting that slice in half so they can have the grain match as best as possible, okay? This way it looks kind of normal instead of funky, right? Same as colors. The wood changes its color down the entire trunk of a tree, right? So anyways, so this is a spruce top, satin finish. Has a lot of flexibility in the sound, because when you hit the strings and you feel it, you can feel that vibration, you can feel the movement in the top. Now the same top, but with a glossy finish, you're not going to feel it as much, and you're going to have a lot less bass. You're going to have more mid and trebles, like I said, because it's going to sound a lot more tinnier, right? With the exact same guitar, just the finish being different on the top alone is going to make a weird sound difference. Okay, it's going to be quite amazing to you. But anyways, so we hear about laminate. Now, laminated wood, okay, that's where the wood on the top side and the bottom are both down grained, okay? The insides are cross grained. Now, how many layers they use depends upon the thickness of the top, right? And they do use a lot of glue making a laminated piece of wood, okay, as opposed to something that may be just layered, or a solid piece of wood. Obviously there is no lamination process, right? Same as when you get a guitar like I had a Martin DRS-1 made in Mexico. Martin's farming out to Mexico, knocks the prices back a lot, and you can get a solid bodied guitar. Back, sides, and top are all solid. Nice finish on them, generally a satin finish, but they do have glossy finishes too. And you know, I had a DRS-1 and I kind of really liked it for the most part, but like any other piece of gear, I end up by traded in for something different and something more appealing or whatever. I'm kind of like, I can't make up my mind a lot, and I'm always trying to find that extra leading edge that I need. And so when I finally tried out a Taylor guitar, my first one was actually a 324 CE. I was like, wow, that's amazing for the money. And they've gone up about $400 since then. But again, this was a guitar that I bought at the wrong time of the year. I couldn't keep the finance payments up with the store. I had to turn it in, and yeah, I took a hit too on restocking fees. That sucked. It was almost $200 restocking fee. That really hurt. But either way, beautiful guitar. But then when I finally could afford another Taylor, I got a 114 CE. I'm kind of sold on Taylors. And I have bought in other Martins as well and tried out some different Martins that were pretty good, you know, but just for some reason they're just not the Taylors, you know. But the 114, I compared it against the 324, and believe it or not, the 114 sounded way better. I even saw a video on YouTube where they agree with me on this one. And even they noticed the difference, and yeah, the 114 was far less money, like over $1,000 less, like more closer to like $1,500 less, and it was way better sounding, played nicer. Oh, it's just a beautiful guitar. But unfortunately it had to go. Life happens sometimes. Anyways, so I finally got this thing, which is a 214 CE Koa. It's still not the 224 Deluxe Koa that I want, that's all Koa, but it's still a Koa. And it's a 200 series. I really love this guitar. I think it's fantastic. It sounds great. It plays great. I love the Koa wood on this thing. Ah, the grain and everything is just so poppy and beautiful. I'm just like, wow. And even the spruce top is nice. It's a Sitka spruce top too. But it's a solid top, but the back and sides are what's called layered wood. Now, layered wood is when they do layers, kind of like laminated, except in this case, all the grain structure on each layer is exactly the same direction. Okay? Makes it a lot easier for finish work too. No cross splinters that can happen, right? But it also means that if they sanded a little bit too much in one area, you know, it wouldn't be a big deal because the grain still follows the same way. That's kind of an advantage to the layered alone just for that, okay? But I've never known a company to over sand either way, but anything could happen, but at least if it did, the grain structure would still match up. So that's kind of nice. But it does make for being very strong like laminated, okay? But at the same time, it offers more give and flexibility because the grain structure is all the same direction. So it allows that movement to take place more so. Even though they're glued layers, it has more movement. Now, a nice thing I like about a lot of these Taylors too, especially in the lower end models, is when it comes to that semi-arch back, it's right in the bass cavity area where the majority of your bass is. Okay, that's going to create more volume output because it makes the cabinetry a little bit bigger, but it also adds more low end and it calms down the mids and trebles quite a bit because nobody wants to play a tin box, okay? I mean, well, I guess maybe some people do, but I certainly don't. But it also means that with this design format, they don't need any bracing down below. Zero. Which does save a lot of money too, okay? And it's very strong. Very, very strong. I've never had an issue, okay? And of course, the neck is a solid piece of wood, and our ebony fretboard as well is a solid piece of wood. So hey, and we even have a little sheet up top here on the headstock that's layered onto that. But yeah, ever since I went Taylor, it's kind of hard to make me happy with anything else, unless it's a Taylor. Maybe Martin will come out with a guitar one day that's, you know, affordable to my eyes, but yet also worth that affordability mark. Now, Martins can be more costly, obviously, but you're not really paying for a better guitar. You are definitely paying for a brand name, but you are paying for different woods because Taylor uses woods that Martin doesn't, and vice versa, right? So wood cost is a factor, and how much extra time they have to put into certain woods to do the final finish work before they can sell you the guitar. That depends a lot on the price of the guitar too. So the more money they have tied up in employees' wages, the higher the price tag is going to be on that guitar. And it still may be a guitar that a lot of people don't like, but some people actually do like. And I like the fact that we have such a massive variety of guitars. Whether we're lefty players or righty players, or like me, I play both. You know, we have that massive, massive selection, right? Now, I really adore companies like Martin and Taylor and Gibson, especially because they don't charge anything extra for left or right-handed. Neither do a lot of other companies, but there are still some companies that charge an extra $50 to $100, sometimes more, just to go to a lefty model in the same thing. Okay, might not necessarily get that same color either. And either way, we're all color limited no matter what, unless we go custom shop and really pay through the nose, which is a ripoff. But as far as how subjective to humidity layered is over laminated, laminated is really not affected hardly at all, other than if you have a solid top, you still got that major effect to look forward to on the top, but you don't have to have as much care over a laminated guitar as you would with a layered. Layered is a little bit more sensitive, but not by much, but it's enough that you need that care too. A laminated top with a guitar body that's also laminated, this makes for a very interesting sound as well. Extremely tinny, even on a larger body structure, right? So this is something else to consider as well. Does the guitar have a laminated top? Now, if you remember, I had a Yamaha 325D, which turned out in the end it was actually a laminated top, which I was pretty sure it was a solid top, but apparently not. So anyways, one of the guys at Long McQuaid that I deal with in our local store, he suggested I try out the Yamaha FG800M, and it's only $70 more, but it has a solid top. Okay, and has still a great finish on it, etc., etc. I mean, the list goes on, right? I'll grab that one. Now this one, of course, is right-handed, and I bought only one right-handed acoustic in my collection, just because I need to learn how to strum better right-handed, and this is what's going to help me out, and I needed a full-size guitar for this. Now the back and sides are obviously going to be laminated on this thing, but the top is solid. You can feel that vibration. It's also a satin finish on the entire guitar, which I think in any guitar they should all be a satin finish, just enough to protect the wood, and that's all you need. And that'll really help your guitar resonate. Even with these back and sides, they will have more flexibility than when it has a gloss finish, because gloss finish all over is actually bad for the guitar. It's also bad for your hands because you get a sticky neck with too much gloss, right? So this is fast playing neck if we want to do this the other way. Oh, I just pulled a Hendrix. Okay, let's play it the right direction. Missed it. You get the idea, right? But this, I can feel more resonance out of this, which is nice. But a layered one, you feel even more resonance coming through. It flexes more than laminated does. Okay, but at least it's got a good sized body on it, so you got a lot of bass kicking around in this thing, and solid top. Really, you do get a much better sound out of a solid top. So the last guitar I want to talk to you about is actually my kicker guitar. This is a Fender CC60S. No electronics in this one. Or that thing either. Now this I bought as a kicker guitar so I don't have to take my Taylor out in the sunlight or hot humid days. It's not a bad sound. The one thing this thing does have going for it is the fact that it is a solid top. But you'll notice the entire guitar is all gloss everywhere. The neck's a little on the sticky side, and I don't really sweat and it's still sticky. But it's not bad sticky for me. It's not too bad. The sound is a little interesting because of all that, you know, thick poly coat on this thing, or lacquer, whatever they've used. But the top doesn't get to really move much. trying to feel for even low bass, and I don't really feel it. It's not really that present. It's just a little bit present. And that does screw up the sound of your guitar frequencies. So, you know, it's a $290 guitar, new. I paid $259 because it was on sale. This was $269. It sounds like 5,000 times better. Even though the body size is not that much difference between them, this also has a solid top, but it's also all satin. And all the wood period is also much thinner. Even the top is thinner on that one than it is on the Fender. You know, same as this, it's got a little bit thinner top. When I hit bass, oh, can I ever feel that? You know, like, even in the back, I can really feel that bass just vibrating, you know, because it's layered wood instead of laminated. Laminated doesn't have that much flexibility. But even with that solid top, you know, I can feel this. I can barely feel anything at all out of that thing, you know, and yet it's a slightly thicker gauge string. These are 1253s. That thing's got 1254s, right? So these are differences in finishes and laminated and layered wood and how things can flex and move and how things can't, right? That also has subframing down below because it's a flat back, right? This has got a bit of an arch to it. And again, it's also satin finish. The wood can still move. The wood can still breathe. Therefore, it flexes nice, right? So you're going to have nicer, deeper responses and more calmed down mids and trebles instead of hollow stuff. So, hopefully that helps you with some comparisons in sound, but also comparisons in types of wood. Okay? And but those are the differences. But if you have a solid top, even if it's a glossy guitar, you're still going to be subjective to humidity, even with a glossy finish on a top. Just not as much as something with a satin finish, okay? But it's still going to be there regardless. It'll still dry out, it can still crack. That's not a really good plan. This can dry out faster and crack easier in low humidity. This is why you need to keep your humidity between 40 to 65% for your guitars. Okay, so also another reason why I temperature and humidity control my room. And actually we do it to the entire house. We have the entire house balanced because my wife also plays guitar. She's got an acoustic and an electric out in her area. And so the entire house, we keep it balanced so that no matter where we go in the house, it's within 1 to 2% at best, right? And but it's also in that area that's acceptable for the guitar to not get messed up. You know, this is another reason why we hang our guitars up too, is so that they can reap the benefits of the balanced area, whereas in a case, cases, especially hard shell cases, really dry out your guitars unless you got humidipacks in, and you have to keep an eye on them and have a hydrometer in there to keep an eye on the percentage, because a humidifier pack can actually give you too much, right? And that can be bad for your guitar too, or it could be giving you too little. You got to add more packs in, and those are costly. Okay, trust me, they are. And some of them aren't that great, and some guys have actually experienced those things actually exploding inside their cases and all over their guitars. So it's like, just keep darn things on the wall and you'd be fine. And if you don't have in-floor heating, put them on stands on the ground, on the floor, you know, but put them on a stand. But also keep your guitar safe away from kids and pets and other things, right? So, but anyway, hopefully that helps you guys out. I don't know by how much, but if you got questions, feel free to ask. I'll do the best I can to answer them as always. And until next time, thanks for watching and see ya!